God, come to prayers, come to prayers." At dawn the crier adds, "Prayer is better than sleep." Every true Mussulman, as followers of Mohammed are called, is bound to obey this rule of prayer, and as he prays he must turn his face toward Mecca. He is also commanded to make at least one pilgrimage to Mecca before he dies, and to kiss the sacred black stone. It is still in the wall of the Kaaba, but the Kaaba itself is now within a mosque so large that it will hold 35,000 persons. It is probable that Mohammed never learned to read or write, but his followers jotted down his words on bits of palm leaves or skins, or even the shoulder blades of animals, and many of them they learned by heart. After the death of the Prophet, the Caliphs, as his successors were called, collected these sayings and arranged them in a book called the Koran, which is the sacred volume of the Mussulmans. For a long while Mohammed preached peace and gentleness and charity, and he won many followers. Then he came to believe that if people would not obey his teachings, it was right to make war upon them. He marched against Mecca with a large army of his disciples, and soon captured it. After a time, either by preaching or by fighting, the Mohammedans, or Mussulmans, became the rulers of all Arabia. After the death of their prophet they continued their conquests. They overcame Syria, Persia, Egypt, northern Africa, and Spain. A little later they swarmed over the Pyrenees, and pushed on as far north as Tours. In 732, just 100 years after the death of Mohammed, the Mohammedans met the Frankish army of Charles on the plain of Tours, and after a terrible combat the Mohammedans were so completely overwhelmed that they retreated toward Spain and never again tried to conquer the land of the Franks. It was fortunate for all Europe that the Frankish troops were led by so valiant a warrior as Charles. He not only led but he fought with his own hands, and he swung his mighty battle axe with such crushing blows that after this battle he was known as Charles the Hammer or Charles Martel. It was no wonder that when the long haired Merovingian died, who was then called King of the Franks, none saw need of putting another on the throne while Charles lived. When Charles Martel died, his son Pepin became mayor. He is known as Pepin the Short. By this time the Pope had become so powerful that kings liked to have his sanction to whatever they proposed to do. Before long Pepin sent an embassy to him to say, who ought to be the king, the man who has the name or the man who has the power? The Pope thought it reasonable that the man who was really king should be also king in name, and so it came to pass that no more Merovingians drove up from their farms once a year to sit on the throne for a day. Pippin was made king, and soon the Pope travelled all the way from Rome to Saint Denis, near Paris, to crown the new sovereign, and anoint him with the sacred oil. He was the first king of the Carolingian line. End of the chapter 8.